With the conclusion of the 2023 Spring Major in Boston, there's been plenty of chatter about what this major meant for the game.
Okay, I blame the Rise guy. I don't know what he's doing.
With this major going down as one of the most viewed lands in RLCS history, I figure it's a perfect opportunity to count down some of the most interesting numbers from the event. So without further ado, this is the Boston Spring Major by the numbers. $75,096. That's the all-time score record on LAN, and it's now held by Vatira. That's right, in 6 appearances on LAN, Vatira has now passed JKnaps as number 1 in this category. Not to mention, Rise also passed JKnaps this event to steal away the number 2 spot. Now, scoring has changed over time, so the 10 appearances JKnaps had on LAN are not equivalent to Vatira's. For 3 of the World Championships that JKnaps attended, private match points were cut in half, but even then, an impressive feat for one of Rocket League's budding GOATs. 12 minutes and 2 seconds. So I know this technically is not really a number, but I couldn't pass up the chance to highlight this record. 12 minutes and 2 seconds is the longest overtime the RLCS has had on LAN, passing the previous record set by Team Liquid in version 1 of 10 minutes and 38 seconds in the 2022 Fall Major. However, even with 12 minutes of overtime, that still wasn't enough to pass the all-time record. That belongs to Rix.GG and BS Plus competition, with a whopping 17 minutes and 41 seconds of overtime back in the 3rd Spring Regional of the RLCSX. Believe it or not, 267 is now the new record for all-time demos on LAN, and it's held by not Reddles, not 4-time individual demo record holder Calm, but Rise. You can thank his consistent qualification of 6 LANs to help bolster this number. Rise averaged 1.5 demos per game and accumulated 45 total demos during his 30 games at the Spring Major. 22% is the win percentage NA had against European teams. NA went 2-7, and it's arguably the worst we've ever seen NA perform on LAN. North American woes have really become apparent from the last event. NA has only had a positive win rate in 1 of the last 7 RLCS LAN events, or once in the last 2 seasons. This video, of course, is being made before the 2023 World Championship, so maybe things could turn around there. 16 is the number of overtimes Vitality went to throughout their major. That accounted for 40% of their games played across the whole weekend. Unsurprisingly, Vitality had at least 1 overtime in every series they played, and they won 10 out of the 16 overtimes they went to. Other teams that also went to a high number of overtimes were Rule 1 at 12, Moist at 10, and BDS alongside K-Corp at 7 each. 12 is the number of saves Rwas made during the historic 12-minute overtime against Vitality. In fact, a lot of crazy records came to be because of this game and series, but with 12 saves, Rwas currently has the record for most saves ever on LAN at an RLCS event. The previous record was held by Beast Mode and was broken by a single save. Something that really shows how incredible this game was between Vitality and Rule 1 was Kalir's recorded 9 saves, which is still 3rd best all time for a single player. And the entirety of Rule 1's team recorded 29 total saves, which is a new record for team saves in a game by 11 saves. Furthermore, Rule 1 also had another defensive game against BDS, acquiring 17 saves, which is 3rd all time for teams. You guys get the picture yet? These Rule 1 boys, they're saving machines.
What a save!
10 happens to be a nice number to point out that Europe has won 10 RLCS LANs all time. This is of course combining World Championships and major wins together. NA is currently sitting at 5 total RLCS LAN wins, but after the Spring Major, it's the 2nd time in the Open era and 5th all time in RLCS that we haven't seen an NA team in the finals. To this day, Europe has never missed a finals in any RLCS LAN. A question I got a lot during my watch party of the Spring Major was how many players have won a major on their first LAN appearance? That number is now up to 6. Scrubkilla, Extra, Monkey Moon, Mark by 8, Chronic, and now Zen have all won a LAN on their first appearance. That's a pretty exclusive club. I mean, before the Open era, that list was only Scrubkilla. Not to mention, all but one of these players are European. One of my favorite numbers from this major is 5. That's the number of goals apparently Jack scored on a single game on LAN. This is undeniably a very rare thing to accomplish, and his 5 goals are tied with 5 other players for most ever. But I want to point out how elusive this record is from players. At the Season 1 World Championship in 2016, Maestro and Cooksier both initially held the record at 5. It would take all the way until the 2022 World Championship where we would see Casio be the third player to score 5 goals in a single game. That's 7 years. Since the 2022 World Championship, a player has managed to get 5 goals 3 more times. That's First Killer in the 2022 Fall Major, Mist at the 2023 Winter Major, and now apparently Jack at this 2023 Spring Major. I told you 5 was my favorite number from this major, and that's why it's getting 2 entries here on this list, because 5 is also the amount of players who have joined the 1,000 Point Club. What is the 1,000 Point Club? Well, it's simply a player recording 1,000 points in any given single game. If you hit 1,000 points, you're almost always having an exceptional game. 5 players from a single game got over 1,000 score, and as you may have guessed, it's from that wild 12-minute and 2-second overtime between Vitality and Rule 1. In order, it's Rawas at 1,213, then Kalirs, Zen, Radosin, and Mussin rounding out at 1,011. The only player to not record 1,000 points in that game was Alpha 54. For reference, before this single game, there were only 9 entries ever in the 1,000 point club. After Game 3 between Vitality and Rule 1, it's up to 14. Somehow, even with a 12-minute overtime, Beast Mode still holds the score record at 1,339 from the 2022 Fall Major. We got 2 reverse sweeps on LAN at the Spring Major, and if you're an OCE fan, maybe skip this part. The very first series of the alternate stream was EU's K-Corp and OCE's Ground Zero. After a 2-0 series start for Ground Zero and only a single goal put up by K-Corp, it became a little worrying for EU fans.
I mean, I talk about Ground Zero sort of catching them napping, but for the majority of that game, they looked the better team there.
They did. Yeah, they had Karmine Corp in a vice.
But once Game 3 began, K-Corp switched into gear. In the next 3 games, K-Corp put up 11 goals to Ground Zero's 1, winning 3 straight dominating games and reverse sweeping Ground Zero, sending them to the lower bracket. In an astonishingly similar series, OCE's Power and Mina's Rule 1 fought in the lower bracket to stay alive early in the major. Once again, the OCE representative jumped out to a very quick 2-0 in the series, winning back-to-back 1-0 games. But just like K-Corp, Rule 1 woke up in Game 3, outscoring Power 15-4 in the next 3 games, sending home Power in a commanding reverse sweep. One of the more painful stats from this major was the elephant in the room on Sunday. 0 NA teams qualified to make the final day of the major. This is the first time that this has happened ever. There have been majors and world championships that North America didn't make the grand final, but an NA team always gave its fans some hope come Championship Sunday. In what is the most disappointing NA performance ever on LAN, some had a few words to share on Twitter. Me. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to North America and their performances, but that's an entirely separate video. Regardless, whatever happens at Worlds and whatever rosters turn over during this offseason, this will be one of the most scrutinized times for North American Rocket League. And as an NA fan myself, I hope North American players can build a major winning team soon. Good luck.
You the fight that I never won. Say perfect, think of you. You the smile that I wanna see. You the style that I never knew. You the try that I can't pass.